Everybody, welcome to One Set. What's going on, everybody? Welcome back to another episode of One Set. I am your host, one of the hosts. My name is Anthony Irvin. I'm here with my best bud, Jim Green. How you doing, my friend?
I'm good, brother. Glad to be back. Man, we are going to talk about this Woodstock documentary, right?
Yeah, man. I've watched it once, and I told Jim, like, you got to check this out because, we were maybe 12, 13 at the time when Woodstock 99 happened. So I don't think I went to a concert till maybe after 99. I know my first concert was was Lollapalooza, but I don't remember the year. I think it had to have been after 99. So I wasn't even in the realms of like going to my first concert at that point. But going through the documentary, there were kids that were like 13 and 14 there. I couldn't even imagine asking my parents to be like, can I go up to New York for 3 days and you guys just not talk to me for 3 days and I'll go up to a concert? They'd be like, oh yeah, sure.
Well, yeah, because back then, like cell phones, like,
No
I mean,
communication, no social media, no nothing. You're just like going, and then like, and obviously I didn't see them like, having any like pay phones around. So like you're just like in no communication with the outside world other than the people around you.
yeah, I mean, I'm trying to think when like the Nokia cell phones, I think they came out like 99, 2000, like when we were in middle school, but like
Yeah.
nobody our age had them. It was
Right.
just parents that had them. So yeah,
Uh-huh.
being 13 and 14. Now, granted, Woodstock in 1969, it was like a peace and love, like harmony, like
Mm-hmm.
it was. I mean, it was very like hippie oriented, right?
Yes.
Um, so they had it back then.
Anti-establishment, all that type of stuff.
Yeah, but they like the people that went to that festival were happy to be there. Like
Mm-hmm.
and they were just attending the concert, like the festival, like just as a concert goer, right?
Mm-hmm.
The 99 thing, wild, right?
Different
Like
ball game.
I mean, my first concert was Ozzfest in 2003. So it was after our sophomore year. I was 16. I think you were either about to be 17 or had just turned. I forget exactly when the concert. It was in the
Mm-hmm.
summer.
Yeah.
Um, but even that, like me being 16 at Ozfest, I was like, oh my god, people are
Yeah.
wild, right?
You
Like,
see a lot of stuff. Yeah. Like, oh my
yeah,
God. Like, yeah.
yeah. I mean, it was cool. Like, um, I because I went with my sister Kim,
Mm-hmm.
and she was like, "I'm gonna go crowd surfing." I'm like, "What?" She's like, "Yeah, I'm." She just tapped like the people in front of her. Excuse me, I want to go up, and
It,
they're like, "Oh hell yeah, boom!"
yeah, sure,
Like
man. Yeah.
hike
And they
her up,
lift
and
you up.
and
Yeah.
and then I watched her go, and I was like, "I want to do that." So then I did,
Yeah.
and I was up there. I was like, "This is
This
awesome!"
is
Like, right?
awesome.
Yeah, it was cool. I did it a couple times, and then
I've never crowd surfed in my life.
I went to Warp Tour with you, and I'm pretty sure we talked about this. Uh,
Yeah.
your buddy, I won't name drop him, but you know who I'm
Uh-huh.
talking about. He went
Uh-huh.
up, and then he went straight down on his
Just
head.
straight down. Yeah.
He was like 5'5", 175 pounds. He was like a stocky
Mm-hmm.
kid. Like, so him crowd surfing, I was like, probably not a good idea. Like I was, 5'9" and a buck 45 at the time. So I was like skinny, so it was easy to
Mhm.
pass me. He was like solid. And I was like,
Yeah.
and when we were at Warp Tour, I'm looking around. I was like, there's not a lot of like strong looking people around here. This is a lot
Right.
more like skinny punk kids kind of thing.
Yeah.
When I was at Ozzfest, there were a lot of like thicker people, and I was like, yeah, I trust the crowd that I'm in to like let me crowd surf.
Exactly. Keep you up. Yeah.
Yeah. Well, when we went to Warp Tour, I was like, nope, I don't think so.
You have to pick and choose definitely around that time. Like, okay, if you're going towards a metal band, you're like, might be a little bit better of a crowd. If you're trying to look for like more of like the softer ska people, like, nah, don't think
Prob-
so.
Probably
Probably
not.
not. Probably
Probably
not.
not.
But yeah, man. So the thing we're going to be talking about is the Netflix series Trainwrecked. If anybody hasn't seen it, you know, there'll be spoilers in this, but I mean, at this point, Woodstock 99's been, over 50 years old. No, sorry, that's 69. It's been over, 30 years old at this
It,
point. So
it's
everybody's seen stuff. So there's not necessarily spoilers. There'll be spoilers of the Netflix series, but there's no spoilers of Woodstock. But
right.
you know, like you said, we only really got to watch what we saw on MTV reporting what Woodstock 99 was all about. And you got to see the band and you got to see, what was going on in the crowd, but it was more orientedly posted towards what the bands were doing. So us at home, we were just kind of seeing what the stage was doing, and occasionally you'd see the crowd like, oh, that just looks amazing to be, out there in that crowd. But this documentary takes you inside of like what was going on inside in the production value, how the crowd was forming, and just it just showed you how fast bad things can happen. And they started really emphasizing the fact that they made a Woodstock in 94, but it obviously did not make a lot of money, so their first priority was to make money off of this 99 Woodstock. So the first things they did was do a lot of budget cuts and, really went cheap on a lot of things to save money. But then again, I think tickets were what they were saying were like tickets were $150. And then when you got in there, you were paying at first maybe like $4 to $5 for a water when water itself outside of a festival was like 65 cents. So you were paying out the wazoo. Now, when you go to concerts today, it's pretty reasonable for a water to be like 3, 4, or $5. But I guess in the 90s when and the thing I think that really made people mad in the beginning was they took everything from you, even water bottles. Like you couldn't even unless you had like camping gear, but they took all your food, all your water away from you. So when you go to a concert today, you might be able to take in, maybe a plastic bottle of water a refillable bottle of water. But I can't imagine, being like, okay, well, you can't bring any water in. So they're forcing you to, buy their water, buy their food, which is like heavily overpriced. And, so it was almost like they were just, gun hoeing this from the beginning.
Yeah, I mean, especially, I feel like they don't let you bring like water bottles into concerts now, but like we're talking about a 3-day festival here, right? Like
Right.
they're they're more common these days. Like, you have Firefly and you have,
Firefly,
you know, um I can't think of the other, but I know that, well, Made in America, they do, right?
Made in America. Yeah.
That's, they do the LA one, but they do the one in Philly.
Hmm.
I went to that one in 2013. Yeah.
They
Um
have the Musk Fest up in Bethlehem. I think that's a couple days of a festival, but it's nothing like a Woodstock type of festival. But it's I think it's a couple days, or they block it out into a couple weeks, like a weekend here, then the next weekend, or something like that. But I've heard good things about Musk Fest.
yeah, I haven't been to Firefly, but
Same.
I don't know like the protocol, like if you're allowed to bring like a cooler or not.
Right.
But if you're going and you're camping there, like if you're camping and it's a multiple day kind of thing, I don't understand why anywhere would be like you're not allowed to bring outside food or drink. Like that that's just that's
Right.
great. That's crazy to me, right?
I
So
would think, Firefly is like your modern day Woodstock of what it probably would have been because you're getting like the camping of like, staying out there. I mean, I've known people that have gone to Firefly, but I haven't really gotten the point to ask them like how, you know, is it being able to like, just be out there camping and, watching bands, then waking up the next day and doing all that. But and I think the bigger thing outside of them, kind of price gouging everything. And I think when, they were saying, like, they had a bunch of like in the 90s, there was a lot of hard rock bands. It was like the new metal wave. So like, they had Rage Against the Machine, Kid Rock, Limp Bizkit, Korn. Those were like the top four big hard rock bands of that era. And when Michael Lang was saying, the guy was telling me about the bands he was looking at, he's like, I really didn't know who they were. And so, but then they gave the okay, and the one security dude was saying, like, I really think they need to, kind of look at this list and see, these are very high energy dudes, and they just kind of shook it off, saying, like, whatever. But Corn blew the roof off that first night, and maybe we'll give him like a little preview right here of like the moment that like everything kind of just went like crazy. But when Jonathan was just like, "Are you ready?" And then that wave of people, it was nuts.
yeah, he said there was nothing like it on the planet, right?
Yeah,
He was like, there's nothing that can touch
I can't
that.
imagine just walking out to a sea of people like that. That's got to just be like
The-
something out of like a fairy tale.
like adrenaline isn't even like the word.
Yeah. Yeah.
It's like
No.
such an understatement to say that like the adrenaline kicked in, right?
Right.
Um, but yeah, wow, he like they showed he was like laying on the ground like singing, and the mosh pit was like
Yeah.
basically the whole crowd. Right? It was just
Yeah.
like, oh my goodness, insane. And like to think that they like after the first night and the second night, like they had like a rave venue like
Yeah.
throughout the rest of the night. Um,
And that's one thing I want to talk about too, but go ahead.
I
I thought that was like, if you want people to calm down, why would you be telling them to rave the rest of the night?
yeah, I don't know. I don't know why they would facilitate for that.
But I
Um,
guess I mean raves were, I guess, something new in the 90s, I guess, right? I
I mean
mean,
they were a big thing back then,
so
right?
I mean that's something that they, I guess, in the documentary they were kind of putting these like, assets of like bringing back some, singing circles of what they used to do in the 69 and trying to bring them into the 99 one. But I don't think they were raving back in the 69. But that was incredible. Like, you got done at 12 midnight, and then they, shoot you off to a rave where people are dropping acid and everything.
Yeah,
And then you wake up to the next clip and everybody's just on the floor, just passed out.
yeah. And then it's like 8 a.m. the next morning. It's like okay, we got like a whole
A whole
concert
nother
today.
day.
Yeah, yeah. It's uh,
So like within like 24 hours, you're just like shot from day one. And plus it was like almost like 90 to 100 degrees, and it looks like it was even hotter that next day, and you had nowhere to like shack up in the shade. It looked like you were just out in the sun no matter where you were.
well, and you're surrounded by thousands of bodies breathing hot air. So
Yes.
just like the body temp of everybody being like enclosed. I,
Right.
I can't imagine. I mean, from what I remember, well, Ozzfest when I went, it rained at night.
Yeah.
But like the first part of the day when I was at like the second stage, it was like the weather was not blistering hot. So I was like, this is cool. And then it started
Mhm.
downpouring. And at that point, I was just like, well, I don't have an umbrella, so I'm just soaking wet, whatever.
Mhm.
Um, it's not like it was freezing or anything. It was summertime.
Yeah,
Um,
summertime.
and,
Yeah.
and then Warp Tour, I don't remember being particularly like real hot or anything when we went, at least.
Yeah, there was only one time at Warped Tour that it rained out at the very end,
hmm,
and they just called it at the end of the night. There was one more band, but they just called it since there was no signs of the rain letting up. Other than that, every single Warped Tour there was like no rain.
hmm,
If anything, it rained in the morning and then before like the band started, but there was no rain. But there was definitely some hot days, and I could not imagine being out in the blistering sun and not being able to have a spot to just go in and chill and get out of the sun. Like you saw people were literally under trucks, under,
hmm,
you know, trying to find shade in like little shaded areas where they could just to get out of the sun. I mean, you were not even inside, you were just in shade, but still in the sun. You know what I mean? So I can't
yeah,
imagine. I'd be done.
yeah. I that's the thing with like these multi-day festivals is like if it's that kind of hot outside, I'm like, no thanks. I'm not like a big I I'm not a concert person. Like I could probably count on two hands how many concerts I've been to,
Mhm.
right? Um I know you as a musician have been to like several.
Several and
Um
plenty. Like I said, Warp Tour was a big thing I went to every year, and then, you know, sprinkling concerts here and there. I mean, since the pandemic, that's dropped down, and, you know, not even just the pandemic, but having a kid, it's significantly dropped down.
yeah,
But, you know, we used to, you know, go at least Warp Tour every year and then sprinkle in little concerts throughout the year. Uh, but yeah, when it comes to like multi-day festivals, I guess the only one that I've really done was like the last Warp Tour, which was like a day one and day two festival. But thankfully we didn't have to camp out for that. We just had the hotel because it was right at AC. So we just, you know, stayed in one of the hotels there outside of AC. So because, you know, staying in AC is expensive as it is. Um, but I can't imagine, you know, I would love to go to Firefly, but I don't think I would do all 3 days. Or I think it's
right.
only 2 days. I'm not sure. I think it's three. I think it's a Friday, Saturday, Sunday. I mean, and plus, I don't know many of the bands that are on those bills other than the main stage or bigger acts. They seem like I mean, it's good because it seems like those type of festivals like to bring in a lot of underground music, which I think is cool, but I don't think I would pay the money to watch bands that I don't know
Right. I mean,
enough
that's
that I would pay that money to listen to bands I do not know.
yeah. I mean, it's okay. So this, I mean, it's an old. It's the flyer for Firefly 2020, which obviously didn't happen.
Right.
Um, but it's showing June 18th, 19th, 20th, and 21st. So that's 4 days.
Mm,
Trying to find. I think this is the current. Yeah, 2022. So it says Thursday, September 22nd, Friday the 23rd, Saturday the 24th, Sunday the 25th. So yeah, it's 4 days.
4 days. Yeah, I can't imagine doing 4 days of concerts.
So they have Halsey is your main headline for the Thursday. My Chemical Romance is the Friday.
Yeah.
Green Day is Saturday, and then
Saturday night.
Dua Lipa is Sunday. Um, they
Hmm.
also are showing Weezer, The Kid Leroy, Big Sean, Zed, Porter Robinson, who I've seen a couple times, absolutely phenomenal. Uh,
Now, who is he? Is he a
he's DJ.
DJ? Okay,
Yeah,
name sounds like a DJ, but yeah,
yeah. I'm also not. I'm not counting like if I've seen DJs like in Vegas. Like to me, that's not a concert. That's like they have a residency there.
yeah,
Um, I've seen Tiesto and like uh my friends actually got me tickets, like bought my ticket to see Tiesto in Atlantic City, but they didn't tell me. Like I
right,
thought we were just going to AC to like have fun, and we got into the room and they were like, "Happy birthday, man!" And I opened the envelope and it was a ticket to see Tiesto, and I was like, "No way!"
nice,
Yeah, it was really cool.
sweet,
That was that we went to. Um, he was playing at the Borgata, so like that to me was
okay,
like a concert setup. Um,
yeah,
I've seen Stevie Aoki a few times. I just happened to be in AC and he was also there. And then the one
mm,
time I saw him um in Vegas, but he had like a residency seat like that. The Vegas things
right,
don't count. Porter Robinson, who I saw in Vegas, we were at like a day club kind of thing, and he was like just there. I didn't go to the club specifically to see him, you know what I mean?
right.
Um but yeah, 4 days in a row of concerts and just my goodness. I don't. I mean, I'm sure that there are people out there that like they live for it. Like
Yeah.
it's what they, you know, it's
And
what they
correct me
love.
if I'm wrong. I think a lot of the like for Firefly, sometimes they don't really give you single day tickets until it gets closer. Sometimes you have to buy multiple day tickets at first.
Yeah, I think that like they probably, I would assume they release like the package deals first,
Yes.
and then you can't get your day passes like just to go in for a day until like the week of, and
Right.
that probably depends on how many tickets they've sold, like in
Yeah.
general, right? Because
So you'll be lucky if you can get a couple single day passes because, like you said, it's just whatever's left over. They'll be like, okay, we'll just throw out a couple and see what and not necessarily see what happens, but whatever we have left for single days, that's what it's going to be. But our bread and butter is just okay. You have to at least buy 2 nights of
yeah,
tickets, which is usually like probably like what $200-300,
I couldn't even tell you. I don't know.
something like that. From what I saw, one of them was like that. I mean, correct me if I'm wrong if you're seeing if you're looking it up, but
I'm
uh
not. I'm not looking up the prices. I'm just looking at the like the
the
flyer.
lineup,
It's just weird to me because like most of the names under the big names I don't know, but like
yeah,
They have Avril Lavigne in as like one of the not big names, and I'm like, what?
yeah, right.
um,
I did see her name. I was looking up the Firefly lineup, and I did see Avril Lavigne. I'm like, okay. I mean, she's still. I know she's been kind of making it back in the scene a little bit, but yeah, it seems like Firefly is like a decent. And I saw uh one of the bands that I don't know them, but I've seen them before. Me and Jen have seen her before. All Time Low. They're playing Firefly,
yeah,
so they're on the main stage. They're a Baltimore hometown band, pop punk. And I think they've kind of experimented with a couple different genres over the last couple years, but they're originally like a pop punk band. But yeah, they're high energy show. Love them. Uh, but yeah,
yeah. I think that the one. Hold on, I'm looking. Yeah, the one artist name is Gail. She does the song ABCDEFU. It's like a TikTok.
okay, yeah,
You know that song, right?
yeah,
Yeah, she's on here. I only know her from that one song.
gotcha.
Um, I'm looking at the rest of the lineup. I'm like, I don't know who. like any of
Yeah,
these people
I
are.
didn't know any of those people were the rest. Like I was just looking at the left side and I just saw a couple people. It may have been like a handful of people. And I'm like, yeah, I'm not spending that type of money for like 5 people over 4 days. And probably, 2 of those days where people would be like, okay, I would legit want to watch.
Right. I've heard of Girl Talk. I know that I've heard some of their stuff,
Sounds familiar.
and Willow I've heard of. Uh,
Yeah,
All Time
heard of
Low
that.
I've heard of. But yeah, I mean, like like you're saying, I can't imagine paying hundreds and hundreds of dollars for multiple days just for
Doll hairs.
the doll hairs. Yeah, just for these few big names, and then the rest of them are just like, okay, who are you, right?
Right, exactly.
I don't know. But anyway,
But
the Woodstock, getting back to
back in the
Woodstock
wood, yeah, getting back into
99.
Woodstock.
I mean, everyone that they were showing like on the documentary, I was like, "Oh, yep, I know who they are." So like
Hmm.
they had a lot of like big names playing, right? But that, I
And the
mean,
one they didn't even mention was Metallica was playing that year too. And they didn't even mention, well, Kirk Hammett was in there for a hot second, but they didn't even mention, and they didn't even mention Rage Against the Machine, I think they went on right after Limp Bizkit, or they headlined that night. So even then, then they had a crazy wild stage presence for that too, which brings me to the point in which probably is the most controversial thing that surrounds this whole series is the fact that you know people are trying to blame Biscuit for starting this whole out of like rage of the people going wild, and in most importantly their song when they started singing break stuff. And for anybody who's a Limp Bizkit fan, just like me and Jim, Break Stuff was outside of the song Nookie was I think their second single off that Significant Other album.
yeah.
And so that was just in your face, high energy, literally no pun, makes you want to break stuff. And, you know, do I blame Limp Bizkit? No, because they were just being themselves. If you've never seen Limp Bizkit at that time, they were high energy. Fred Durst is Fred Durst. Fred Durst can be a whoopsie, but he knew he had that crowd in the palm of his hands, and he could turn it off when he wanted, and he knew he can rile them up even more. And I mean, that's what he did, but I don't think he had an idea of how crazy the crowd was really going at that time, because when you're on stage, there's so many different things going on in your mind, and you can only comprehend so much of it. So I think when he was seeing a lot of those guys on the plywood, he wasn't probably thinking, oh crap, that's coming from the soundboard and everything. He was probably just thinking, okay, he knows this crowd was crazy already, so he probably saw those dudes surfing on that. He's like, oh, well, I want to just do that too. But then production back there is thinking that he is just riling up the crowd. But I I mean, here's my thing, and I'll have your opinion on this too, Jim. Again, I don't blame Limp Bizkit, but I think Fred could have probably calmed them down to a point where he could be like, okay, you know, he could have at least brought back a little bit of the energy because he knew he had that in the power of his hands. But do I blame them as a band for their stage presence? No, because that's just how they were. What
Oh,
do you think?
he's I mean, the whole band, but Fred being like the lead, right?
Hmm.
Because other than Wes Borland, I don't know the names of the other guys in the band, honestly.
Hmm.
He's a person of influence, right? Um,
Right.
he's a person that people, you know, I don't want to say worship, but like swore by him. So, if he's the thing is like he was there to entertain, he was there to do his job, right?
Right.
And not only did he do it, but he engaged in like the craze, right? Because he
Right.
he got out and was on the plywood himself, and like
Uh-huh.
it's epic, right?
Which is
But
iconic image from that weekend too, you know?
yeah, because not only was he just standing on it, but he was like
Really
bouncing.
getting into it. Yeah.
Yeah, yeah, and the crowd was. I mean, everyone's like, "Oh my god, look at him go!" Like,
Eating it up. Yeah.
yeah, they were eating it up. Um, and I
But
mean, at that time, because of how like grungy everything was,
yeah.
um, he fed into it, and he was getting the crowd into what he was doing, and for him to be like, "All right, guys, let's settle down now," like he
Yeah.
was
It wouldn't.
he wasn't going to be that person to try to tell the crowd to chill out.
Right. And you even in the documentary, their manager who was managing a lot of those other bands on the bill at that time, he was saying, other than him saying, Limp Bizkit was just putting on the best performance ever. They just Limp Bizkit didn't have anything to do with starting it. Limp Bizkit was just being Limp Bizkit. And there's no way you can tame down 2 to 300,000 people. So that crowd was going to do what it wanted anyway, no matter if Fred had said something or not. So there's no way you can calm down that amount. You can't calm down a 250,000 amount of people that
Right.
that fast. On that point, I do agree, and I think with the fact that even the security guards are saying there wasn't enough security that down on that main stage, and they were just getting manhandled with people going over the rafters and everything. So I almost more blame, the festival itself for not being prepared and not understanding the bands and what they were capable of doing with the crowds.
Right.
So I almost blame them more than the bands because the bands aren't gonna uh tame down their set in order to please people. They're out, like you said, they're out there to entertain. They're gonna give it 110%. It's more important for the festival to think of the safety of the performer and the attendees in the crowd to know that, okay, we know we have, big, crazy bands, so we need more help on either at these times because we know the crowds are going to get crazy. So we need more security at this time. But again, with them doing budget cuts and trying to make dollars elsewhere, they weren't caring about security. And how crazy was it the fact that they never really got uh security? They just got kids out of like Brooklyn and everybody. And they were selling t-shirts for like hundreds of dollars. There's like, well, can this get me backstage? Like, yeah. Like, well, can I get it? Like, yeah, $400. And they were just selling the t-shirts right out there, and they were just having random people just being security.
Yeah, well, I mean, the whole thing with like going back to Woodstock '69 is like it was supposed to be about like peace, love, and harmony, and I
Yeah.
mean, the people back then just went to enjoy the concert. I mean, and they were probably cheering, but like
Yeah.
mosh pits and like the rage thing, the rage aspect wasn't like a thing, right?
Right.
Um,
Hmm.
so I mean, when you're talking about um like the waters, they started at $3 or $4 on the first day. By the third day, they were like $10 and $12, which is like
Yeah.
that's like normal now in
Right.
2022, right? Like you
Right.
go to a sports event and you want a water, it's going to be like 8-10 bucks, right?
Yeah.
Um, but you go back 23 years to 1999, like that's a lot
A
back
lot of
then,
money. Yeah.
right? And I just thought it was like, well, when the water pipes were like bursting, and
Yeah.
and the people were like swimming, like they were basically mudsliding through,
Uh-huh.
like
Whoopsie.
literally
Yeah.
they were just in legitimate feces, like swimming around, and I'm like,
And they didn't even know. And people were saying like we took samples of it 2 days later on that Sunday. We opened up the incubators and it was just mold and just it was all contaminated. And then that one girl was talking about that she had you know, gotten sick because of the contaminated water.
Yeah, well,
And
imagine drinking it and you're drinking poop. Like
exactly, yeah. I smell whoopsie. But and then you get people taking baths and, you know, smiling, having fun, like, yeah, I'm in the whoopsie water.
Yeah, awesome, right?
Awesome, cool. Okay, good.
Okay, good. I mean,
But
yeah,
yeah,
that's the
that
whole
Saturday
thing.
night in the rave was nuts too.
That's the whole thing with festivals is like I don't know. I'm sure that they have like stations set up to, there's porta potties everywhere. There's
Yeah,
um I guess fountains that you can rinse off or something.
right.
I don't know. I've never been to like a multi-day thing like that. I mean, I went to Made in America, which was a 2-day event, but I only went like on the one day. I didn't go.
Mhm.
It's not like I went and I stayed overnight and I camped or anything like that. Like I
Right.
see the other one, Electric Zoo, I think is the thing.
Hmm.
Um,
Yeah,
there-
it's just, you know, I think they definitely underestimated just how I think they knew how big of a showing they were gonna get, but I just don't think they underestimated how much help they were gonna need, or they just didn't really care. They just were more worried about making a profit off of the stuff.
right.
So
And while the one guy that helped arrange it in the 60s, you know, like I said, people just came and enjoyed the concert and left. Like they didn't cause
yeah,
mayhem. Like,
yeah, and you
um,
didn't really have you know, a lot of aggressive music. I mean, you had really low key, you know, the Grateful Dead, Janis Joplin, Santana, Jimi Hendrix, all those guys and gals were not as heavy as, like, you know, Kid Rock and Limp Bizkit at the time. It was very more mellow and, you know, I mean, Hendrix had his, you know, rockability to him, but he wasn't heavy. He wasn't making you want to just, you know, push people around. And like you said, and plus the atmosphere and the vibes back in 69 were more, you know, love everybody, I love you, peace and love, harmony and all that. Where, you know, again, like we said, in 99, they tried to give you that aspect, but I think they just killed that with the fact that I think people came there expecting the positive vibes and the old Woodstock vibes, but it's quickly just turned into people realizing it's just a money greedy type of festival. And, you know, they didn't have the proper security, they didn't have, you know, enough to really give people, you know, shelter or water, or, you know, essential things that they needed in order to, you know, keep going throughout the festival. And again, like they said in the documentary, people would have been on TikTok, Facebook, Instagram, like, just killing this whole thing, saying, "Hey, these people are treating us like crap," and blah blah blah. But they didn't have that, so the only thing back then was to just take it out on the people. And then you started seeing the MTV crew start getting whacked with plastic bottles and rocks and everything. So then their lives were in danger and everything. So it's, you know, again, different times. But you know, it's just crazy how, you know, everybody just started, you know, feeling how that crowd could just turn from like good to bad in a matter of minutes.
yeah, I mean, and I think they said day 3, they had Jewel come on
Yeah.
and she like because she played, you know, lighter, softer music. It actually
Yeah.
mellowed the crowd down. But as soon as she got off stage, she's like, "Get me out of here!"
Right.
The
She instantly knew like something was going to happen.
people are wild out there, and they well because they were all throwing like bottles around and stuff because
Yeah.
they were outraged because they couldn't get clean water and they're swimming around in poop, right?
Yeah. Right.
The bottles of water were $10, and people already paid 150 for a ticket. They're not showing up like they
Yeah.
probably brought water for themselves, like, and then the event's like, nope, can't bring that in here.
Nope.
Nope,
And
you
at
got
that
to
point, you
buy
probably
our
didn't
water.
have any money to buy anything, so you're like just living off whatever, you
Yeah,
know. So
yeah, you're trying to drink the available fountain water, which is actually poop water, right?
right, right.
Yeah,
But and then that Sunday night, just the uh, the lighting of the candles, uh, good gesture, but a bad experiment
bad
from them
idea.
saying like
Yeah,
bad idea from like knowing how and you can't tell me that the producers didn't see any of that crowd going nuts over those 2 days, and then they had the bright idea of like, let's give these people fire.
yeah,
Nothing bad's gonna happen. They're just gonna hold it up, and this whole peace, love, and harmony thing's gonna go. It was good for a few minutes, but then all of a sudden you see like this whole little orange hue come over, like, oh, that's a fire.
right. I mean,
Whoopsie.
I mean, the whole thing too was like they were hyping up that they had like a surprise like
Yeah,
ending act, and then the show just ended. They're like, "All right, everyone leave," and
and they just turned on Jimi Hendrix playing the Star Spangled Banner. Like, what's this? Whoopsie. Which would have been cool for me, but still, if they were hyping up the fact that somebody was going to end the show and then nobody, they just like, all right, go home. Yeah,
yeah,
I'm gonna be that. That's like the just like knife in the back, the f you to be like, okay, time to go home. Whatever. Like we told you something's gonna happen, ain't happening. Goodbye. And that's just like the thing that just just put everything over the top and like, okay, let's just burn this whoopsie the ground.
yeah. Seriously, I mean,
And
like,
obviously they got MTV people out of there, so they didn't cover any of that stuff.
yeah. Well, the MTV people that were covering, they were like, "We got to get out of here." Like
Yeah, we're getting out of here. Yeah.
that's how bad that it got, right? I mean,
Right.
what did you think was going to happen? You're playing a bunch of angry music, and people are doing drugs everywhere, right?
Yeah.
I mean, what did you expect to happen? People just get in a car and be like, "Thanks, bye."
Right.
I mean, there were people leaving Sunday morning before the end of Woodstock because they're like, we're leaving. We got to get out of here. Like
Yeah.
we can't afford $10 bottle of water. We need a shower. This place just
Mhm.
it wasn't properly organized, kind of thing.
I
And
can imagine being one of the people that left Sunday afternoon and then going home and realizing what happened Sunday night. You're like either thinking like, "Holy crap, I saw that coming," or "Holy crap, I'm glad I got out of there."
or oh, I missed it.
Yeah. Yeah.
uh,
Absolutely.
yeah,
Three differences of the same matter.
yeah, absolutely. I mean,
But I think from this, it made festivals after this realize, okay, what not to do during a festival and make sure that, but then again, I think, and they tried to put on a Woodstock 50 back in 2019, if you don't remember. They were going to have like Miley Cyrus, Jay-Z, and a couple other bigger people, and then try to bring back, some of the older people like Santana, Grateful Dead, and a couple, so kind of be like a multi-genre. And Michael Lang, who did the original Woodstock, did 99. He was trying to do Woodstock 50, but I was looking up a lot of things, and it seemed like they were having the same issues with like financially, and they weren't sure about this, weren't sure about that. So wasn't sure if they were trying to pull the same stuff of
right,
like, hey, we're just trying to make money off this, and we're just trying to, scam people out of just, doing this. So it eventually got canceled. But it was like the first time of like, wow, 50 years of Woodstock. It would be, I mean, it's on my bucket list to at least try to go to the original spot of Woodstock. I would definitely love to go up there. But I was half tempted to really be like, it would be cool to at least go to one day of the Woodstock 50 concert,
Right.
but it never happened, and I think we'll never get another Woodstock opportunity since Michael Lang has passed. I don't think we will get another Woodstock.
Yeah, probably not. I mean, especially if he owns like rights to the name, which
Right?
who knows. But
Yeah, I'm not sure.
yeah, I mean,
But thankfully, we have a lot of festivals today that you can get your experience out of. It, it'll never be like a Woodstock, but we have so many different festivals today, like Firefly, that probably have that emblem and like resemblance of like okay, we've got these Woodstock vibes of like going into like 3-4 day festivals and stuff. So Woodstock was the first major festival and big American historical time. But I think I think Woodstock 99 really punched it into the ground to making Woodstock, you know, a different name. People remember 69, but they'll always remember how bad 99 was outside of like the music. But uh if anybody hasn't yet seen the Netflix special we're talking about the Woodstock special on Netflix called Trainwreck. If you guys want to check it out, we'll probably put in the description below. And give us your opinion on it. If you've seen it already, let us know what you think. And if you were at Woodstock 99, send us a comment or send us an email. Once at pod@gmail.com. We would love to hear your stories, and maybe we can get a couple eyewitnesses of what happened, what really happened, because these documentaries have all these different people, and they had a lot of people that were there, but it's always cool to kind of see people that are just like writing comments like, oh, I was there, this is what happened, I was there, this is what happened, you know so
yeah, I mean, based off of the documentary itself, like I'm surprised that they were able to show anything because by the sounds of it, it's like there was a lot of stuff going on in the crowd that
yeah.
like wow, kudos to whoever put the documentary together and
Yeah.
what like however they got the footage. Um, that's pretty insane. It was very interesting to watch. You recommended it to me, and
Mhm.
I was going to watch one episode one day and then the other one. It's 3 episodes, so I was going to try to
Mhm.
watch one each day for 3 days. And instead, I got through the first one. I'm like, this is wild. And I just binged all three of them at the same time.
Yeah.
It
It was
so
that good.
so yeah, definitely recommend it if you are um like a concert goer. Definitely recommend you checking it out for sure.
Yeah, man. So how about we wrap this up here? We got some Woodstock 99 reviews on here, and anything you want to close out with, my friend?
Nah, man, I'm good. It is almost 1:30 in the morning, and I am about ready for bed. I don't know about you.
Same,
You
man.
Thank you. Love you, brother.
We're not going to any raves right now, so we're good.
Yeah, absolutely.
Raving in my bed.
Yeah.
But
Wednesday
yeah,
tomorrow, right?
Wednesday, hump day. Yeah. But yeah, guys, thank you once again for uh, checking out another episode of One Set. My name is Anthony Irvin, my co host, Jim Green. We'll see you guys all on the next one.